What's going on, Dolphins fans? Fins Up Network, Ben Morrigan, and I'm a little late to the party today, but I did finally get caught up on all the defensive back coverage from the 2023 NFL Scouting Combine. And if you watched it, or as you probably know, man, there are a lot of defensive back prospects that participated in this year's combine. So for the sake of keeping this video at a length that's not going to take up your entire day, I decided to focus more so on a group of guys, the participants that are most likely to come off the board in the second and third rounds of the NFL draft, because obviously the Dolphins, we don't have a first round pick. So we pick at 51 overall in the second round. And then in the third round, we've got picks 77 and 84 overall. And then obviously one in the sixth, one in the seventh. So I'm going to omit some more of like the surefire first round guys, the Devon Witherspoons who didn't participate yesterday in the combine anyways. Christian Gonzalez, who completely blew it up, made his case for being cornerback one in this draft. Joey Porter, Kelee, Ringo, who flew in the 40. Basically guys that most draft analysts have slated to come off the board before the Dolphins make their picks in this year's draft. Because obviously the Dolphins could trade up. They could grab one of these guys. However, for the sake of today's video, I'm rolling with the Dolphins picking with the picks that they currently are slated to go, focusing primarily on rounds 2 and 3. So I'm going to go through these guys pretty quick because there are a lot of cornerbacks still in that second to third round range as well. This position is one of the deeper positions in the draft, one of the better quality positions in the draft as well. So I would not be mad whatsoever if the Miami Dolphins end up with one of these cornerbacks in rounds 2 or 3. But let's jump in right away. Clark Phillips out of Utah. We're looking at a guy that he's the fluid hips, great ball skills. That's his calling card right there. He's a quick, twitchy athlete, but the knack for getting the interceptions. 9 career collegiate interceptions. He housed 4 of them as well. But he excels in man coverage, doesn't have quite the experience that we'd likely be looking for in zone coverage, but projected to come off the board in that second round range. One of the biggest fears that we had for him was a little bit confirmed, though, at the combine, and that's that overall size. The 184 pounds isn't bad with that frame, but being 5'9" might scare a couple of teams off if you're looking for some of those bigger cornerbacks that can give you a little bit more rangy. But he is quick, he is twitchy, he's got a knack for the turnovers, but being 5'9" might be a little bit of an issue for guys that want to cover bigger wide receivers. Let's talk about a local guy. Miami, Tyreek Stevenson. Super. If you're a Hurricanes fan, I'm a Gators fan. Sorry. No ill will. I hope you keep watching if you're a Hurricanes fan. But he's a super physical, good cornerback with good length. Likely probably a best fit in like a press-heavy man scheme. So not sure if his overall fit is there. If Fangio is going to run a little bit more, some man, some zone, but a little bit more zone coverage as well. But overall, he had a good day at the combine. Nothing crazy, as you'll see there, that jumped off the screen, but at the same time, nothing super alarming. It was like he didn't have great size, or his 40 was slow, or he didn't show that athleticism. Everything was there. I think he really solidified himself probably in that second round. But like I said, going to be tough to see if he's an actual fit with the Dolphins. But let's talk about a guy here that absolutely turned the burners on. DJ Turner, Turner the Burner. That seems like a nice little nickname for him there. That's like a dad joke nickname. DJ Turner, Burner, Turner the Burner, or something like that. All right, I've made a fool of myself enough there. But he's versatile in his coverage. That's what I like about him as well. Between man, between zone, he's got experience playing both and doing well in both. Really good with form, technically sound at the position. And as you can see by the numbers, the athleticism is there. Crazy athletic. You saw it on display yesterday if you were watching him. Combine numbers, 40-yard dash of 4.26. That was the best of all the participating defensive backs. And his 10-yard split, the 10-yard split of the 40-yard dash was the best of all cornerbacks as well. Bit on the smaller side. The 5'11" isn't all that terrible, but the 178, so you worry about him being able to hold up with tackling and being able to come around the edge on some of the guys that are coming his way. They're cornerbacks, though. You kind of live with size now and then, especially when you're talking about a freaky athlete, a fast guy that's going to be able to hang with those wide receivers at the next level. And that's what DJ Turner put on display yesterday at the combine. Let's go to the opposite of a guy with a size issue, because Julius Brents out of Kansas State, size and length are 100% there. Weighed in at nearly 200 pounds. He goes 6'3". He's one of the taller cornerbacks that you're going to find, especially in this class. But it helps him be physical. It helps him be a sure tackler. Also, another thing that I like, really good experience in zone coverage. He's got a bit of a question mark when it comes to some of that man coverage, but he excels right now in that zone coverage. But look at that athleticism, though. Jumped out of the building with that broad jump. I believe the 11.6 on the broad jump was the best of all the cornerbacks. So he's got a couple of things he has to work on, obviously, but the size is there. Speed at that size, he was able to keep it in the low 4.5s. I liked that. But that broad jump, being able to show that explosiveness with the legs, his ability in zone coverage, another guy to keep your eye on in that second, third round range. Another guy in that range that I like his traits. I'm just not sure if he's a scheme fit for the Dolphins. It's Kelee out of Stanford, because he showed in college that he is a man-to-man coverage specialist, and that's not a bad thing. The Dolphins could still target that. Don't get me wrong. That's still a great characteristic to have, and he plays with confidence, especially when he can get in that wide receiver's hip pocket, stay with that guy throughout his man coverage or through his route. He shows great tape with that. He's sticky. When you watch him, he sticks to wide receivers. Like I said, great trait to have. Better 10-yard split than outright 40-yard dash. Was hoping he could be in that 4.44 range. Kept it at 4.52, but one of the better 10-yard splits in that 40-yard dash, and that's showing you that he can stay. It's not always about that straight line speed. It's being able to stay with the wide receivers throughout their routes, that quickness, and he definitely put that on display yesterday in the combine. Let's talk about a guy that didn't actually end up participating, Eli Reiss, and I talked about him as a guy to watch heading into the combine with the defensive backs. I didn't know he wasn't going to participate, wasn't aware of the grade 2 hamstring injury. But like I said in the preview to the combine video, taller cornerback, experience in zone coverage. He transferred to Alabama after 2 solid years at LSU. Came into the combine when I thought he was going to run, when I thought he was going to participate. I wanted to see if he could keep it under 4.5 or like a low 4.5, because straight line speed is one of his bigger questions, especially being at 6'2". That's a nice height with that zone coverage. Wanted to see how he would time. Obviously, we'll have to wait till the pro day. Obviously, not great that he couldn't participate in the combine. When you build up throughout the end of college football to the combine, all you're doing is training. You're getting ready for this moment. To not be able to participate kind of stinks. Hopefully he's healthy enough. We'll see him at his pro day, where, as you know, pro day numbers are typically a little bit higher than combine numbers, the way it is. But keep your eye out for his pro day, March 23rd. Another guy I talked about in the combine preview video that did participate, Jalen Jones out of Texas A&M, another one of those tall, long, physical cornerbacks, and he played against that SEC level talent as well. The interceptions, the turnovers weren't always there for him, but being able to have those matchups against SEC quality wide receivers, going with some of the better quarterbacks in the league, he held his own. He has great tape. I was a bit nervous about his ability to turn and run with guys at the next level because of that size, because of the little bit of the stiffness that he has in that lower body. I wanted him to keep it in the 4.5s. I was really hoping the lower 4.5s. He did technically keep it in the 4.5s. He's got the 4.57 there. So yeah, I guess he did get it done. But if you look at the class, the participants of cornerbacks that were all running yesterday, he was one of the slower in regards to straight line speed. However, that 10-yard split, keep that in mind as well. It's not always about the straight line running for 40 yards. Second best of all cornerbacks as well. So definitely a guy that continues to catch my eye in that second, third round range. One more guy here as well that actually didn't participate. We knew this guy wasn't going to participate, though. But Garrett Williams out of Syracuse, I included him on this list. He's projected to be in that third round range. Showed really good instincts in zone coverage throughout his collegiate career. Super physical, aggressive, kind of would be how I would describe his playing style. But man, he's recovering from that ACL injury in October. So that's his big thing right now. The thing to keep an eye on, how fast can he recover? Will he really contribute in year one versus maybe needing a bit of a redshirt year? So keep an eye on that. But regardless, a guy that's still going to be in that probably third round range. The concern with him was that he didn't measure 2 inches shorter than his listed height at Syracuse. They had him at 6. He's now dropped down to 5'10", which probably not the end of the world, but definitely didn't have the height that he was advertising while he was at Syracuse. I got one more guy on the list in that 2nd to 3rd round range, Darius Rush. South Carolina, another tall, longer cornerback. You can see the size there at 6'2", and excels and has experience in zone coverage. So you know he continues to be on my radar. Good ball skills, being a former wide receiver. He doesn't have that stigma that comes with cornerbacks, saying they're cornerbacks because they can't get their hands on the ball and they can't bring it in when they do. That's not an issue with him. Former wide receiver, he's got the hands, but because of that, he's a little raw. Physical skills are there. He would just really need to hone in, kind of end up really figuring out the nuances of the position, get up to the speed of the position, and hopefully that speed isn't going to be an issue. One of the better 40 times, that athleticism really isn't in too much question. 4.36 in the 40-yard dash. Probably, like I said, one of those guys in those 2nd, 3rd, maybe early 4th round range. But if Miami wants to get their hands on him, obviously, if they don't make any trades, would have to grab him in that 3rd round. Those are the guys I got. Like I said, I left out a couple of guys that the Dolphins have talked to. Kelee, Ringo, Emmanuel Forbes, who weighed in at 166 pounds, by the way. Curious to see how that ends up playing with him. He said he ended up playing at like 170 or 180 last year, but only weighing in at 166. Was a little bit of alarming for a guy that I had my eye on until he really darted up draft boards. Has a little bit of those Xavier and Howard qualities, a knack for getting his hands on the ball, for getting interceptions and housing him. I'm really still intrigued by him, but his size was something that just really caught my eye. I said I wouldn't take up all your entire day, though, so I'll cut it right there. But if you've got any thoughts on the defensive back class, you got anyone that I might have missed, go ahead, drop them in the comments. Curious to see what your thoughts were on the defensive backs that participated in the combine. But that's what I've got for today, Dolphins fans. And until next time, fins up.